各位朋友，子女的成长只有一次，子女的教育重在及时，让我们陪伴您的孩子成长。我们在新学友等着您来参观。
9周，然后每一次上一个礼拜上40堂课是2个小时，那一个礼拜上2次1、3、3天5点，那所以是从6月10一直到8月10，然后是8月12。你的如果全部都上的话，因为我们是这样子，有些小朋友他们可能数学是有些他们可能上到下面比较之类，因为他们还想要是。
我选择了新学友的话呢，是因为这里为孩子提供了一个非常好的一个学习的环境，主要是他的老师呢都非常的优秀，然后让我们的孩子从小呢在这儿非常 enjoying to 学习，然后呢奠定了他们整个很好的一个 academic 的基础，让他们以后在学习上非常有信心。
I teach the English courses. My personal background is in economics. Where I got a degree in economics from Stanford, and then I got a master's degree in Chinese, and then an MBA in investment finance, which is interesting enough. But my teaching style is one just of presenting the material and making sure that the students learn it. There's not much to it. They just have to learn the vocabulary and learn the grammar and learn how to read and, of course, write. Now, the favorite aspect of teaching is probably interaction with the students, because very often I'm able to introduce them to something new, such as Don Quixote, that they were not able to enjoy before, or possibly to The Rape of the Lock, a great poem by Alexander Pope. Now, possibly one story that I would like to tell about a student is one of the first students I had was Diana Peng. And her father brought her into a ShareWorld and said he wanted her to get a perfect score on the SAT test. And so we had a couple classes, and she got a perfect score. Of course, we can't guarantee that sort of thing, but it was very good in that particular situation. Now, whether there are any failing students, I don't know. I only know that some students don't perhaps enjoy English as much as they might, possibly because they don't understand it as well. And so I do my best to explain everything, make sure they understand the rules and how to read and how to write, and then just make sure that they take themselves seriously and learn as much as they possibly can. I didn't really choose to become a teacher here. I came here to teach a citizenship class, and then Amy talked me into teaching an SAT class. And this is after my career in investment finance, so that is how things started for me here. Now, I don't know about other learning centers, because this is the only one I've been to, and so I only really know how they operate here. But I do know that if a kid comes and they're willing to do what we show them how to do, then they should be able to achieve a very satisfactory score on the generalized tests, standardized tests, as well as doing better in all the classes they have, because the vocabulary they learn is not useful only in taking the SAT test, but also in the other classes that they have.
That means H2, O2, Fe, oops, carbon, stuff like that. Because this is when you also have to remember hot wrinkle, okay? The diatomic. Okay? Everything else is just, as long as it's in an elemental form, okay, it's going to be 0. Because what happens is we need a standard.
By the way, in SAT, there's an important thing. Percentage is lovely, nice looking, but it's really hard to calculate. From time to time, you must change that to decimal, right? So this is 1200 plus 0.2, x equal to 2500. So this one equal to how much here? 13. So x is 1300 divided by 0.2. Well, avoid the temptation. Always use a calculator, right? Because mental math error, that's some $5,500. Is that right? Yes?
One of the favorite things that I have about teaching is getting to know my students. I have a passion for my subjects. I love literature, I love history, I love to read, and I also do a lot of writing myself. And I love to share this passion with my students. One of the things that I'm particularly, when I give a series of lectures about writing, one of the most important lectures I give is only about 3 minutes long, and it's about how to write about your passion for the SAT essay. Many students, when they sit down to write the SAT essay, they think, oh, I have to use something from literature, an example from history, and my example from personal life. Many times that they are talking about or writing about things that they've only just learned about, or they know about it second, third, or fourth hand. They don't talk about things that they actually know about. So the lecture that I give them is that write about something that you know about, that you're the master of. In this way, you can incorporate your best vocabulary, you have your best thesis, you have the personal examples that nobody else has, and you can deliver a quality essay. Many times this essay will eventually develop it into their college application essays, which is very, very important. SAT is not only about the test. SAT is not only about getting into college. Taking SAT at ShareWorld particularly prepares you not only for the SAT and for preparation into college, but it prepares you how to be successful in your high school subjects and in life as well.
Okay, I would say Craig is the light one. That's the first thing that's got.
He's light? What do you mean?
He's sort of light, like his
light.
sense of humor is
Okay.
like light, hard. I don't know. But
Heavy?
heavy. Well, yeah. Well, okay.
What kind of
When I
heavy?
say like her personality is a little more heavy. Like she's sort of insistent. Like she's more loving, I guess. To Augustus. But
Okay. 2/3 to the 5th power. Yeah. Okay. You could totally use a calculator. Yeah. Okay. Probability of them still living, right? Yeah. Okay, good. And then at least 3 years. So how would you calculate that? So I would calculate it as at least 3. So 3, 4, 5, or 7. Okay. Yeah. So
I'm a teacher here at ShareWorld. I teach mostly the middle schoolers and elementary, writing and reading comprehension. I'm also a tutor, 7-year-olds all the way through college, and I simply love it here. First, I'd like to congratulate ShareWorld on 20 successful years. I could not be more proud to be a part of an organization that I really stand behind and love being here. Next, I'd like to talk to you about a success story. We all love those. A boy came to me, and he was an 8th grader last year, and he had a D, and Ds are really hard to come up from. And it was a difficult situation at first, but we sat down with his mother and him, and we devised a plan, a real plan to work from. We started from his organization, his study skills, his critical thinking through persuasive writing. And from there, we worked really hard. What I didn't know is that he had learning disabilities. And that was a challenge for me at first, but together we worked hard. And by the end, he had a B+, which was amazing from coming from a D-, really. So together we worked hard, and now I feel like I'm a part of his family. And I remember one day he turns to me and simply says, "Thank you." And those are the kind of days that you don't need the thank you, but it's those kind of smiles that come out of students that really inspire me and what I do. Next, I'd like to talk about connection to students. Connecting to students is really important to me. It's where I find I have the best days, and wherever they come from, whatever they do, I feel like I want to bond with them. A girl came to me recently, a 10th grade student, and she wanted to improve her SAT essay. When we started, We looked at and evaluated different styles of writing, and instead of just telling her this is the way it is, we evaluated together to see what personally worked for her. From there, we looked at her own essay, and immediately I found a problem that's very, very common in students. They want to address what's good and bad in an essay. Now, this is a problem because it's not showing a strong opinion, that they're supposed to be the expert, so we need to choose one side or the other. So we started working on her tone, what she had to say as a person, and how did we get that across, a really strong essay. She also didn't know that you were supposed to have 3 examples with you coming in, at least, or more. 1 historical, 1 literary, and 1 personal. For her, we really worked to see what worked for her, not what was just best, but that she could talk the best about. And we chose Gandhi, we chose The Great Gatsby, and we chose a government kind of issue in her school. By the end, she had one of those smiles, again, that you just can't buy. She was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And it's more than that. I was just happy that I could help her, and that I knew that these skills would go into all of her writings, not just into this big test that we all study for. So together we worked really well and found that connection. By the end, what was supposed to be one lesson turned into 3 before her test, and I still think of her today. Finally, I'd like to talk about inspiration. How ShareWorld really inspires me as a person. I really think of this place as a community, my community and our community. We all work together to make sure everyone works well, that all the students have what they need, whether it's making sure that they have exercise or every tool that they need before they get to the actual classes. I see teachers giving out pamphlets, handouts, advice, talking to parents, always giving that little bit of extra, that no child is just a statistic, a number, but they are someone special. And I love that. That really connects to who I am, and that's why I work well here. It inspires me to give extra short stories to my students if I can see that they need a little push to be an avid reader, or they're even more and they want something challenging. I work to give irony stories, those twist endings that really kind of get them going and really interested in what they're doing. So everyone works to do that little extra, and everyone is a community here. Additionally, I'd like to talk about my style as a teacher. As a writer, I like to promote persuasive writing. It really kind of gets kids going, no matter the age. They get that critical thinking that should start young, that should never stop, and that should always continue. For example, in my class, we were looking at advertising and just how those advertisers really get us. And as we go through all the different styles and techniques, we were making our own advertisement. And we're listening to music, and the kids are all of a sudden just stop. Everyone does when a commercial comes on. And it's silent, which is always shocking as a teacher. And they're all listening to this commercial. By the end of it, they all said, bandwagon. They're trying to get us on the bandwagon. And as a bunch of 4th graders, I was impressed that they cared, they evaluated, and they critically thought about how they were being persuaded. So I was moved, and I loved it. Also, in reading comprehension, I promote critical thinking. To be an active reader isn't just to look at the words, it's to develop how do you interact with them, how do you become a demanding reader. And starting young is really critical to being a good reader overall through high school and through college and through life. So I promote critical thinking and looking at a lot of the classics such as Robert Frost and even O. Henry, one of my favorites. Recently we looked at Of Revenge by Francis Bacon. And it's interesting how you would see 6th graders thinking about revenge. Their revenge and my revenge and everyone else's revenge, apparently we had different thoughts on, and I loved it. We evaluated the piece, what the examples were they valid? Did I care? Did I enjoy the piece? Do they inspire me to think differently? And by the end, everyone had an opinion. And something that I really like to promote is that I don't know isn't an answer. You must develop an answer. You must develop an opinion. Being an opinionated person helps you now through life and developing communication with others, knowing that your point is valid. And I promote that in my classroom through discussions. So it's really a critical thing that I try to promote.
湾区的朋友们，大家好，非常欢迎你们。新学友为广大的 湾区观众朋友提供很多教学方面的服务，新学友是您最佳的选择。我们很希望时常看到你们，我们有很多的counseling 服务，也能够给你们达到你们升学所需要的。欢迎大家多多来我们学校参观指教，谢谢。
It's not that bad, okay? It's not that bad. 那你的女儿在这边上课结果如何？
她变化非常大。她来的时候已经很危险了，整天谈的都是染指甲、染头发和她原来的那些同学。但她来这之后，她等于有了一个新的一个集体，她受周围的朋友的影响，她逐渐就改变了，成绩一下就上去了，在学校一直是在 top 级的。
请你讲一下你的女儿她的申请学校状况。
他申请学习，他现在被 Cornell University 录取了，但是确实是很 surprise 我们，因为我们在很差的学区，然后我又没有什么办法帮助他，完全是Dr. Yoshida 帮助他申请到这些，他给我们一些 list， 什么时候 deadline， 然后 help 我们 I did， and she's succeeding.
I have the opportunity to teach SAT English as well as AP literature courses, and I'm also a college counselor here as well. So you can guess that one of the things that I do mostly here is help students with writing. And that's something that's very important to me because a lot of students struggle with writing because they feel unconfident or they're lacking the courage to say what's on their minds and being able to say that in an intelligent way. And since students struggle with it, and I myself have before in the past, I think that it's very important that I strive to make sure that our students are able to confidently voice their opinions, making sure that inner voice is something that is not so inner but more outer. And I think that this is something important for all students to be able to express their ideas confidently and intelligently. My favorite part about teaching has been the light bulb moment, that moment when the student all of a sudden begins to realize what you're talking about, all of a sudden discover something that they could not see before. And that definitely has been the most rewarding part of my journey. And I think that it validates my experience and my choice to study English. When I was younger, I had a bit of trouble I was struggling with the idea of confidence and being able to say what was on my mind when it came to literature and almost just any idea. Fortunately, I had the opportunity to work with certain teachers who motivated and inspired me to really kind of step out of myself, break free from my comfort zone, get out of that shell, and be able to just say what was on my mind. And I'm very grateful to those teachers, and I think that's probably one of the primary reasons why I chose this field myself. I think to validate my experience as well, there has been many students who have really made me feel very good about what I've been able to do for them. One student in particular, he was very shy, he was very quiet in class, but he was very keen on writing and sharing his ideas. So I made sure that I was able to encourage him and make sure that he developed the confidence to be able to not only voice his opinion, but to do so intelligently and to do so confidently. And this is something that has continued to motivate me over the years. I believe that this student in particular actually told my colleague that I changed his life positively, and that was a big moment for me. I think that's one of the highlights of my teaching career, and that's something that I continue to strive for with every student that I work with. I think that this experience, along with my own, confirms the idea of my teaching philosophy, which is first of all to believe in yourself. I think that too many students struggle with the idea of doubt or the pressures of their parents or of society in general. And I think that it's important for someone to encourage them and to push them in the right direction so that they can become confident, they can voice their opinions correctly and intelligently, and make sure that they can make an impact, not just on themselves, but to the people.
Top 15% first, then get chosen with top 9%, then hopefully you go to Regent Scholarship or Chancellor Scholarship. Then you hear from the courses completed number 3, performance in academic subject areas A to G. Those are the UC required, Maths, English, foreign languages, and social studies, SIS. The more classes you have, classes you take outside of the school or the summer camps or research camps you go to. UC has a separate section on the application to click that and note what you did. So Cosmos is one of them, YSP Young Scholars Program one of them, UC Santa Barbara has a research program.
4年前才来美国的，在 ShareWorld 帮了我很多忙。 尤其是作文方面，我知道该写什么，可是我完全写不出来。然后ShareWorld的老师帮我改了很多作文，像 SAT 这些的，我刚开始成绩都非常的差，尤其是英文方面，因为才刚来，英文都不行。在这边上课上了一个暑假上完的课之后，我的成绩进步了很多，这样也造就了我现在进入我的理想大学，在纽约的 Cooper Union， 而且我还拿到了 Full Tuition Scholarship， 所以这样一切都非常的顺利，都是因为 ShareWorld 的帮忙。
请问你的理想，你在 Cooper Union 你想念的是什么？
我想念的是 Civil Engineering， 就是基本上任何的建筑之类的设计，然后之类的这些。
Cooper Union 是你的理想大学吗？
是的，它是我的 first choice。
Katie got into Georgia Tech and UC Berkeley.
So I felt like my counselor today was Dr. Yoshida, so I want to thank her so much for everything she's done for me. And I felt like the message that I got here was that the teachers here actually care about you as a person. So then it's not just about like the SAT scores or the test. It's kind of about the entire experience of like learning English. Like I took Jennifer's class, and then Dr. Yoshida helped me with just everything in general. So I want to thank everyone here for everything they've done.
My question for you can see this here is the label the October test, but generally October is just the beginning of the semester.
Right.
So
it's been a big success. I was one of 2 math teachers when I joined ShareWorld Learning Center in 1995. In the past 2 decades, ShareWorld Learning Center has advanced from a learning center helping primary elementary school students to an organization that prepare high school students to excel. In the 90s, ShareWorld only offered a very limited courses. Today, it offers a variety of math, science, and language courses. Around here, there are similar business. However, ShareWorld Learning Center is very special and unique. What makes ShareWorld special and unique? Teachers at ShareWorld Learning Center are encouraged to contact parents. The founder of the ShareWorld Learning Centers never prohibited teachers from contacting parents. She believes teachers working together with parents cultivate success.
子女教育重在其时，新学友陪伴你成长。